So, Adam, we have met many times. No? We are business partner too in
Hmm.
some kind of way.
Hmm.
So, and that's nice. And but I guess many people don't know you. I guess
Well,
so.
yeah, if you're on LinkedIn, you might think you know me, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
that's right.
so
You see the
who are
public.
you? Who are you?
So, well, originally, I mean, I grew up in Europe. So originally, I'm a European as well as an American. So I have the European view of the world and the American view of the world, and sometimes they fight, um, how they see the world. But I grew up in Great Britain, in Wales, and I was one of these sort of classic, kids that was a geek and loved computers. So whilst my friends were playing, or people in the school were playing football or sports, I really, at the age of about 8, 9, 10, really loved computers. For me, it was a way to a window onto a bigger world. It was a way to build things. I mean, you could do things that no one else could do. Teachers didn't know how to do things. I mean, this is in the mid 80s. Computers were very primitive, and adults had no idea how they worked. So maybe like smartphones or TikTok today. And as a result, as a kid, someone of that age, it was an immense power. And I always just loved the creativity. You could build anything you wanted. It was a great free time. So growing up, I loved computers. I loved technology. Wanted to be a scientist. And then I went to college and I figured I'd become a physicist and go work at CERN or something like that. And I thought I'd become a particle physicist or something like that. And then I realized that I really enjoyed building things more tangibly than science unfortunately allows you. If you work in big science, it's big projects, and as an individual, you might be achieving a big task, but as an individual, I think you always feel like your influence is very small. You work on a giant team working for 50 years, and if you're lucky, you make something. If not, you may be just toiling away. So when I finished college and finished doing physics, I really love the idea of business, technology. It's like it was a really amazing time. It's also the late 90s where the internet was brand new. I mean, and we forget that. Like the internet didn't exist when I went to college. And when I finished college, same for you, right? It did exist, right? I mean, in 4 years, 4 years at university, no internet, internet. World changed completely. And because we were young, we were pro technologists, and I programmed as a hobby. When I came to America for a summer, I'm like, wow, we get to be at the ground opening of this whole new world. And I think I've always been a bit of a techno utopian optimist. I always believe that business and technology, we can do good in the world. It isn't about money. I mean, you have to make money. You and I are business people. You've got to pay payroll. You've got to pay your team. I mean, you have to. But that's not why we get into this. We get it because we love what we do. I mean, you love running agile testing days and helping clients do things that they didn't think possible. I love building software on our team, building software. I mean, you have to make money to survive, but it's never about the money. Anyone who's built a company, I think it's always about building something bigger than themselves. Whether you succeed or fail, it's that trying. And you look at some of the entrepreneurs, the big business people, the Bill Gateses of the world, the Apples, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Whether you like or dislike them as people, you can't deny they were trying to achieve big things. And so anyone who starts a company, whether it's a one-person consulting business or you're starting a juice bar or a farm, I know lots of people are starting companies. I think we all have this in us. We want to make the world better. And I certainly that's what I got into it for, is that we saw technology as this new force that the internet was going to unite the world, change how politics, change business, change everything. Now, I think we were naive, and I think in some ways it's a little sad that things haven't been as free and as open as I wish they would have been, or we hoped as sort of utopian technologists. But I really think growing up, for me, that was an amazing part of the world. Amazing how technology was uniting everyone sometimes, and certainly we could be a part of that. So I think that's what really excites me is that I get to, when we come visit like Agile Testing Days or any other event, or even when I just travel around for work, most people you meet are great and are people, and you look at that, and then you look at the news and what people say on TV or say on the internet. Oh, country X, person X, we're all different. No, no, we're not. We're all the same. Not exactly the same. We're slightly different, but we're not as different as our differences are not as important as what unites us. And I really think that that's something that people forget, and that for me, that's really important to me, not just as a business owner, but just as a person. Is that I like to be able to go visit people and realize and learn what it's really like, not just what the news wants me to think about
Yeah.
people.
We don't want to talk about politics,
No, I know. Yeah.
but the thing is, and we may agree on that. One of the things are the people,
Hmm.
So when we meet the people, it doesn't matter if it's Agile Testing Days or whatever. When you meet the people, people
Are people.
people are people, and
Right.
politics are fighting about power,
Hmm.
and they don't care about most of the time about the things, so they will sell you for power. So that's the thing. So that's why um, 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 I, I'm sorry, I need to tell that because
Right.
it's a little bit heavy, but I will tell that. So
Hmm.
I grew up with a cousin of mine who is my father, because my father
Right.
died. And he told me when I was a young guy and started talking about politics, he said to me, politics is shit. The only thing that change are the flies.
Oh, the names of the flies, maybe.
Yeah, but the name of the flies. He
Right.
said that.
Right.
So that's and I said okay. And he has of course an opinion about politics and so on. Okay, that's. But he says okay, just to be clear. So they are something different than you and me and the people you meet, like you said.
Right. We
But
want to do. We want to make the world better in our own way. If you're, whenever many people I work with, they work in hospitals or companies, or they're trying to improve things. Some of my friends growing up ended up going to the government, UN, and they all had, I think, good aspirations. So I think people always want to, no one, people want to have meaning in their lives, and I think that's really important. And for me, it's important that I have meaning in my life. So when people ask me, what motivates me every day, it's about that. It's about making a difference in the world, whether it's with your family. I have two kids. I've tried to be a good role model for them. So, and I came to America really as a student, raised family here, and I'm not from here, so it was always interesting. I guess on a different topic, it's like one of the things that's interesting about moving to America and you in your 20s and raising kids here is you watch all these shows on TV about American high schools. And it's all kind of true, and you get to live it, and it's very weird. Like, wow, they really have lockers and sports teams and mascots, and it's like High School Musical or uh, other movies that from the 80s that I remember, like Back to the Future. It's like, wow, it actually is quite like this. So it's kind of funny when you're like, I remember being that age, in Britain, and it's nothing like American high schools. Schools in the UK are very different culturally, the feel of
yeah,
them. And then I raised two kids here, and I'm going to parents' night, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm in a movie set. Is this real? Like, it's kind of funny. Um, and my kids have no conception of this. My wife's American, born in America, so she doesn't feel that. But I find it quite funny that I'm living in a movie set. And actually, another thing was quite fun. Was I moved to Los Angeles for a year, mainly because my wife's from LA, so we wanted to live there for a year and be with the family. Didn't necessarily work out so well, but that's a whole other story. That's not for today. But it was great because I got to go live in LA, and I remember seeing all these TV shows from my youth, like Knight Rider, A-Team. I'm probably dating myself here. They're all filmed in Los Angeles, and all these scenes. I remember the places, like wow, there's like one tunnel in LA with blue lights. It's in every single movie, like Blade Runner, Charlie's Angels, any movie where there's a tunnel and there's like blue lights. And the music video to Bon Jovi, it's the same tunnel. It's one block long. Everyone films in it, and there's all these really weird things like that. So it was kind of fun living in LA. So I would say that was a fun experience, living your dreams, coming to America, living in LA for a year was a really it was a life's goal to have done that. I would say for me anyway. It was kind of from childhood in Wales to living in LA. It was kind of, oh wow, I get to do this. This is fun.
yeah, I can imagine because being a alien,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
this is interesting. Also for me, we living in Germany. I mean, at the beginning, this is the culture is totally different. But I
right,
think
right.
I was born as a German. I think so. I am
Okay,
quite German. I think so. But
but you
it's
but
okay.
you grew up in Germany or you grew up in
No, 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 no. I
Spain?
grew up in Spain. I am
That's what I
from.
thought. Yeah, yeah.
I am a beach boy, really a beach boy.
Right, right.
Gran Canaria, Las Palmas, spend my
Hmm.
life at the beach. So, and that's why I wanted to tell you. I was once in Wales, and
Hmm.
I did the Coast Walk in
Yeah.
Wales. It's beautiful,
Hmm.
beautiful, and I can tell you when the climate change
Hmm.
and everything get warmer into the north, the best beaches in Europe are in Wales. They are so
They
beautiful.
Well, they are nice. The problem has always been the weather, right? The wet.
Yeah, but
They
now
don't
it's
have the heat.
changing.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear they're making champagne in England now because France is going to get too hot. They think they're not sure, and therefore, it's
Oh,
true. Maybe. Oh, back on politics again. Sorry, we should probably not get on politics. But no, I mean, growing up in Wales, my parents still live in Wales, in Swansea, in South Wales, and that's they've got wonderful beaches. And in fact, during COVID, they were very popular. Everyone in England was going there because that's where they could get to. And the sand is beautiful, very clean, but
Yeah,
just the
very
weather,
clean. Wonderful. And the people are. I mean, for me was and the experience in UK very interesting because in Germany when you go to a pub
yeah,
nowadays it changed a little bit, but
okay.
20 years ago when you went to a pub or 25 years ago, so no one is talking to you. So
Mm.
yeah, so no one, you are drinking your beer, whatever, no one is talking to you. When I was in Wales, so everybody's talking to you.
Oh, that's true.
So everybody's talking to you. Even when I was, because we were a group of Germans, so some couples were there, and I said, I cannot be at this beach, and I cannot go into the water. It doesn't matter. This is cold. I
Hmm.
go into that because it's calling me. It's calling me. So I went into the water, swim a little bit, and then old woman was there also swimming, and I was maybe 30, I don't know, 35, 38, something like that. So a long time ago. And she was maybe 70 or 80, I don't know, whatever. And she started talking to me in the water and asked
That's
me where I'm
nice.
from, what are you doing here, and where do you live? And I said, I live in Germany, but I'm from Spain. Okay. And then she asked me 1,000 questions. And then one of the questions was, do you earn good or do you earn enough money? Something like that. When I said,
Hmm.
okay, so I say, okay, I'm happy, it's fine with me. I say, okay, that's good because this is important thing too. So, and I
Hmm.
was there, I said, okay, no one is going to talk to me about that in Germany. No one is going to ask you in Germany. No one asks you how much money you earn. No one.
Well, that's in
No.
America. It's a different. Yeah, in America, that's the first thing they'll ask you. Hi, hey, buddy, what school do you go to, and how much money do you make? And that's the American. Yeah, that's the American thing.
So
But no, Wales is a very friendly place. My parents still live there, and especially compared to like London or a big city. Like any big city, New York, London, people they're busy. They're busy their lives. I think Wales is always nice because it is a small town, and I imagine smaller towns in Germany probably the same. People are more likely to be maybe more open. I know that, yeah, I mean, one of my colleagues lives in a place called Carlsberg near in the Rhine area. When I go there, people are always I'm a visiting American British person, so they're always kind of curious. They're quite friendly too, and I must admit I do love Berlin,
yes, in the
which is
south
where
of
you,
Germany, in the
yeah,
south of Germany, they due to the beer garden and so on, they are
yeah.
more open. In the north, it's more difficult. The people it's more reserved, but it's okay. I mean, the things have changed a lot. So
Right.
that's
And I
that's
always find
really.
Berlin very. I mean, I must. I always love Berlin because you're in Berlin or you're
Yeah,
Potsdam
I'm
or
Berlin. I'm Berliner. Yeah,
okay.
I came in Berlin '88, so
Oh
it's a
wow.
long time ago. Still when Berlin was Berlin
Divided. Yeah.
island, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm completely Berlin and even West Berlin. So really, Southwest Berlin, this special place in
Right.
Berlin.
When it was right. What the Zoo Garden area? That
This
what
is
was
the
the
American. It's the American part of Berlin,
yeah the
and
old American
this
sector.
the American sector. Yeah, it's amazing. But tell me,
Hmm.
how you describe yourself? I mean, you're a British person or Wales
Oh, it's
Welsh
well. So
person?
I have three passports. So I have a
Oh,
British passport, an Irish passport, and a US passport. So most people call me Jason Bourne because when I go on a work trip, I'll have depending where I'm going. I have to have the US one if I'm going back to the US because they'll let me in. If I'm in Europe, I'll bring my EU one so I can get around more easily. And if I'm visiting Britain, I have to have the British one because I have to enter with the UK one. So the last trip I was on, I had all three with me, and people were like, "Are you a spy?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm a software engineer. No, I'm not a spy."
yeah,
But you're right. What do I call myself? I think these days I would say American, which is because I live in America. My kids are both born here. I've been here 26 years. I've been in the UK. Hold on, 24. I'm 50 this year, so I think that's 24 years. So
oh,
I've hit the tipping point. I'm been in America longer. My entire adult life was here. I've never worked in Britain. I left as a student, came here. I would probably say American. If I was in America, I might say American or British descent now. And if I'm in certain countries, I might say Britain or Irish, depending which country and if they're friendly. Like in Argentina, I would say American.
yeah. It's good. I have a hint for you when the people ask you if you're a spy or not. And I remember the years. I'm not traveling that much now, but 20 years ago or 15 years ago, um, um, I was traveling.
Right.
One of the years I was 150 days ago from home, traveling
Wow.
around the world. So, and when the people ask me, so what do you do? I mean, if you are telling people you are doing software testing or whatever, so they do not understand anything. So,
Right.
and then I said to them, I work for Mossad. I am a hitman and a killer. So because it's the only explanation that you have.
That
So,
right, right. Yeah. Well,
so
you say, yeah, you write killer software, baby. So do you miss, I asked you a question. Did you find it addictive? Do you miss it? How do you miss the travel? Did you like the travel? What are your thoughts on travel for business?
no,
Is
I
it
think that at some point, yes. But I remember the day when I was in LA at the airport in the
hmm
business launch at
Yeah.
LA airport.
Yep.
Mm. And I have to wait there for 6 hours, something like that.
hmm
And I asked myself if I want to spend that time of my life just waiting for a flight.
Mm.
And now I I try only to travel only for holidays
Is it,
because I
yeah, I mean,
was
wow.
it's because it's too much, and the things I do also for work, of course, but we're working more in Germany, German speaking countries,
Right. The
and
dark region. So basically it's
but I am not, yeah, but
Ukraine.
I'm not that involved at the ISTQB. I am still the head of the Spanish Lesson Board and so on, but I'm not traveling to the GAs and so on. So people from the board is traveling, and other people is traveling, and I'm all the business that I'm doing with partners, they are sitting all around the world. So we try to do that over a video conference or whatever. So and travel, even because traveling is not pay more, you cannot pay that anymore. I mean, it's so
Right,
crazy.
right.
It's so crazy. It's incredible,
The
expensive.
cost, yeah, the expensive. Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying to travel, and I mean, this year I think I'll do 12. Last year I did 12 trips, and this year I'll do about the same, if not more. Um, I think, but for me, I think also for me, I had the kids, raised them. My son is 24 now. And he's at university. No, sorry, he's finished university. He's working for a satellite company. My daughter is got halfway through college, so I've kind of hit the point where I never traveled much before because I couldn't. So now a bit more freedom, and so it's been kind of nice to travel, work, get to meet people like yourself, others when I go other countries, and I do.
I
But
mean,
you're right, it gets exhausting.
what I miss, when I really miss, is the things that when I was traveling, I liked food quite much. Huh?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
of course drinking, but food is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the thing is that I, even when I was traveling alone, I try always to go to the best restaurant in the city, so to see what is the culture, why are they the best. And sometimes you said, oh my god, it's amazing, and sometimes you said, oh my god, why I came here, because it was so bad.
Yeah, I
uh,
was in Marrakesh recently, and Moroccan food is incredible. I mean, the flavor. If
yeah,
you've ever been to, to Morocco,
yeah,
the fruit, the nuts, the meat together,
yeah,
the seasoning. Oh, it's incredible.
yeah, yeah.
And luckily, the members of my team are foodies. So when we're traveling, Dermot was. Oh, Dermot says hi, by the way. Hi, Dermot. He said hi. He was traveling with me, and we went to Sweden, and we had the Gravlax, and we had. Oh, what's that great? We had reindeer. Sorry, Rudolph. But that was fun. I mean, it was that kind of, but we get to try things you wouldn't always try. And we have great experiences, and went to some pubs in London, and then Morocco. We had some good stuff too. I had sheep's brain in Morocco. That was a little strange,
So
but
when I would like to come back to you because we want to talk about
oh,
you.
sorry.
So that's okay. That's okay. So what I have seen, I mean, we always met at the Agile Testing Days,
hmm
USA or in Germany, whatever. But I've
hmm
seen that everybody likes you. Why?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, mm, I mean, what? Well, first of all, I try and be a good listener. I'm not always good at that. I'm not naturally good at that, actually. I had to learn that. So growing up, I wasn't, but being, I think, maybe a software engineering guy, nerd, geeky guy, I wasn't always a good listener. So I had to really work at that. So I find that that's an important thing for people to like you is you can make people like you by being funny or being lighthearted and all these things, which is a technique. But I would say for people to really like you, they need to feel like that you're treating them as an important person. So I think for me, I've always tried to find anyone I meet, I will try and make no as much as possible, have no preconceptions as to what that person, who they are, what they mean, and I think opening your heart and your mind to them, listening to them as again and as being as good as I can, and then just being genuine. Um, I think I try that as much as possible. I mean, I try and be honest and genuine to people.
No.
Um,
I have seen that you are always quite relaxed. You are relaxed all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And even when I may be stressed inside, I try not to show it. And my even and running a company as you do, it can be stressful at times. But I always believe ultimately that you could either add to the stress by being stressed, or you could have a stressful situation at work. I don't know, business is bad or good, or travel or something, whatever it is. You can either approach that as the situation is stressful. I can add more stress to it, or I can be relaxed. And also, I think part of my role certainly as a CEO is the members of the team I'm traveling with make them feel better about themselves, make them feel more relaxed. Um, for example, we were in Florida for an event and there was a hurricane, and we didn't know if we were going to fly home for next days. And so, to try to make the best of it, make sure the team, everyone was with me, didn't feel like I'm away from home. Oh my goodness, let's look, we're here. Let's enjoy it, make the best of it. And I think at times in work, if a client's being really mean to any of my team members, I won't stand for that because I feel like my job is to make sure that our clients aren't disrespecting us. We're not disrespecting them, obviously, as well. So I do think with people I work with, I think definitely work hard to make them feel as relaxed as possible, not feel there may be stress of the situation. The job I feel is not to add to that, but reduce that. Um, so I would say that's what I think to be genuinely liked. Those are the qualities. Like anyone could be liked because they're funny or there's ways to make people like you, but they don't really like you. So hopefully it's genuine. I mean, from my heart, I truly believe that I try and project an honest projection of
Yeah,
myself.
I think yeah. I mean, when the thing that I have seen, and also for myself, is that I when I see you, it's for me it's nice to see you. So and I say, oh, Adam. So oh my God. So the opposite is that. So I like
Right.
when I see you, I go there, say, hey man, welcome. So because I like the way you are, I like the way you act, and this is very interesting. And
Well, thank you.
also I can say also on the business part how relaxed you are, and I really. I want to say thank you again. I already said that to you, but I remember when we ran the Agile Testing Days in US,
Hmm.
and we need to cancel that, and it was really a mess because we lost a lot of money there. And you pay for the booth at the
Hmm.
conference. It was I don't
Right.
know 8,000, ten
Yeah, I
thousand
remember that.
dollars
Yeah, yeah.
and you said, hey, keep the money. I know this is the time is tough, keep the money. I
Hmm.
don't need the money, so we
Hmm.
will come next year or whatever. So
Right, right.
thanks again for that, because I mean this is a big sign. It's a big sign for a business person, but also for the person, because it means that this you give value to your partner, and
Hmm.
you truly believe that they are going to make it, because if I go bankrupt, you're not going to get the money back. So
I think it's also empathy. So in that specific situation and other situations, what I'll try and do is put myself in the shoes of. So when COVID happened, we were like, well, how are we going to survive? And luckily, our business was mostly online, subscriptions to our product. For the most part, that's not as volatile as I'm running an event. So I'm thinking like, well, imagine it was me in Jose's shoes. I'm the one who's running an event, and I have to worry about the money coming in. I'm like, well, I will be terrified. So how can I now knowing that? How do I put myself back in my shoes? How can I make things better? And they're gonna run the event next year. We'll roll everything forward and just let's have faith that things are gonna. Well, the year after it turned out, but and we did come. That I remember that year in
yeah,
'91,
I know,
we
I know.
came from
Yeah,
America. And by the way, that was the one that still was the best year because we came and everyone in America thought we were insane, and we came. We had a good time and everyone was safe and it was
yeah.
good. And that was that was kind of crazy, if I remember.
Thank you, thank you.
We went to a nightclub in Berlin that event. We were dancing away. It's like
Yeah,
this is crazy.
so,
And Taya had a great time there. But
yeah,
so well, thank you. And I think anyone listening to this, I mean, it's important to be genuine and point of empathy. You're going to work. I always believe you're going to work with people for many years in many companies. And what's more important than the people you meet, the connections you meet. And one day you'll leave the job you're at, you'll work somewhere else, and you might run into that person again. And how you treated them is going to be
Yeah,
much more indicative of your future relationship than
yes, of
the
course.
company.
So that's the thing, and money could be a motivation, but
Hmm.
if this is the only motivation that you have, then it may not work. But
Right. I mean, back to what I said earlier, when you start a business or you start some endeavor, whether it's business, nonprofit, I mean, money is never should never be the sole reason for doing it. It should
yeah,
be because you believe in what you're doing, and obviously you hope it has to make money. We want to live and
of
eat.
course, you need
Right,
to eat, you need to pay things. I mean,
right,
that's that doesn't help.
right. And one thing, by the way,
Let's go
I
back
do. Oh,
to
sorry.
you. Let's
Yeah,
go back
I
to
say
you.
one thing I love is cooking. So one of the things we have a shared love, I think, at least I think from the past, is cooking. So one of the things about traveling is you get to eat great food. One thing I miss when I'm traveling is not being able to cook. So I love making food, and I love the idea of making food for my family and trying out new
Okay, what do
recipes.
you cook? Everything, or do you have a
Everything,
specific?
anything. I did a lot of East Asian food when I was raising kids because they need their vegetables, and kids like crispy vegetables, not soft vegetables. So a lot of East Asian food they would do, Chinese, Japanese, Korean,
Oh,
quite a few Thai curries. I do a lot of Thai food as well. So I did a lot of East Asian food when the kids were younger, mainly so they would eat their vegetables. And they never like sauce, didn't like sauces and stuff. So then as they got older, we did Mediterranean. Now it's a real mixture. I do Mediterranean, East Asian, French, Spanish, Italian, those
wow,
cuisines.
wow.
I'll do some paellas, some Spanish food as well, but a little bit of fusion as well.
So
Whatever I
the next time
fancy.
you're in Berlin, then come home and we make a paella together.
I would love that. Do you have the big? Do you have the big? I don't have the big pans. I have just a regular pan. But you have the big,
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, that's not the point. That's I
Okay,
have it. So I cook myself. So
okay, yeah. There was a great restaurant I went to in Berlin. I can't remember the name of it now. It was like a tasting menu. It was in somewhere in the city. It was like a Michelin star. It was incredible. They made like a fairy tale out of the chocolates. It looked like a playground on the plate. It was
yeah,
incredible.
okay, could be Facile
It
maybe.
was Basile. It was Basile.
Yeah, that is my lovely restaurant in Berlin. Yeah, I love that.
Oh,
I love the restaurant. I love the restaurant.
that was great. Now we went there as a work trip. We didn't realize that it was expensive. It was
They have
raining.
now. They have now. Yeah, they have now 2 stars. But you can
Okay.
go for lunch. You can go for lunch.
We
It's
went for
cheap.
dinner. We didn't realize. So if
You can
anyone's
go.
watching, we went there. It was raining, and we look at Google Maps, going, "Oh, it's a nice restaurant." We went in there, no reservation, in shorts and t-shirts, and they're like, "Oh, wait, this is fancier than we thought." But we had a good time, and they
So,
didn't kick us out.
no, okay, I tell you now the story because I need to tell you the story. I'm sorry
Okay, it's okay.
taking
No,
your
it's
time,
fine. No,
but
it's
we have
fine.
time. So many years ago, we were one of the first partner of CompuWare when
Hmm.
CompuWare was
I
on
remember them. Oh my God, from Detroit originally.
Detroit. Yes, I was a few times in Detroit in the headquarters, and one of the heads of CompuWare in Germany came to Berlin,
Hmm.
and we have an appointment. And I
Hmm.
thought that he's coming to my office, and he thought I am coming to his office in Berlin.
Hmm.
So I were there. So okay, we call, say, hey, where are you? I'm waiting
Right.
for you. Yeah, I'm waiting also for you. Yeah, well, we meet in my office. No, no, we meet in your office. Okay, so okay, it's late now. So what about let's go for lunch? And so okay, I pick up you and to go to the restaurant. So and I pick up him and a colleague of him, and I say, "Okay, where we go to eat some?" Okay, so let's go to Facile. So
Hmm.
I went to Facile. I was there a few times already, but they didn't know me. So when you go downstairs in the garage, so you have ring the bell and say, "Hey, I have a reservation, whatever."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I ring the bell. And in Germany, you normally say your name when you ring the bell. So
Ah, okay.
and I said, "Hey, Jose Diaz," and so on. And I want to go to the restaurant. So they opened the door, and then, as you know, when you go into restaurant, you have to
Yeah.
go long aisle.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
when I went there, the maître said to me, "Welcome, Mr. Diaz. Please go to the table." So we went to the table, and then a woman came with the bread and said, "Hey, Mr. Diaz, nice to having you back here." And I said, "Okay, thanks so much." And then the sommelier came, said, "Mr. Diaz," all the time calling me Mr. Diaz. And I was surprised, but it's okay. I enjoy the time. And then this person from Compuware said to me, "So, are you coming here every day? They do know you. What's going on here?" And I said to him, "Okay, I need to tell you a secret. Their son belongs to me." Yeah, that's facile. But I've been there. I think the last time 2 years ago or something, or maybe before. I need to go there with my wife, but I don't have time. And there's so many places, and we have two small kids, so we
Right,
don't.
right. How, yeah,
So
how old
it's
are the kids now, by the way?
yeah, fine, fine. This is
How old are they? Are they?
so the my little girl is 5 now.
Oh,
The
wow.
boy is 9, and then I have 19 and 21.
Okay, so the older
Okay,
one's about the same age as mine. Yeah, it's
yeah,
wow, it
4
keeps your
kids.
hands full.
Yes, yes, yes. But go back to
To
you.
me,
So, yeah,
I'm unknowable.
we want to know you better. So
Okay.
that's why. What brings you the most joy?
Oh, wow. Uh, that's a really hard question. Um, Seeing old friends, actually, I would say. Seeing people I haven't seen for a long, long time and having a really great time with them. So I was back in Britain in March for it was a mixture of work and family, and I saw a friend called Nadir, a Pakistani British guy who I hadn't seen since I think I was 17. We were friends in high school and we lost touch. And he works for IBM now, but and we just happened to be on. I think it was during the pandemic we connected on LinkedIn, and I said next time I'm in the UK, I'll look you up. And so I sent him a message, and we met for fish and chips in London, and we had a great like 6 hours together, and it was really amazing. And I've had other meetings with people I haven't seen for maybe 10, 20 years on these trips, typically the UK, because I didn't get back so much when my kids were younger, or if I was going back, I was spending most time with my family. And so now I'm trying to reconnect with some of my high school friends and even some college friends, and even some before that. And it's really, those moments are really amazing when you meet with people you haven't seen for 10 years, 20 years, because they know you. They know you as a kid growing up. And the other thing that's sort of funny, they say is, you haven't changed a bit. And I'm like, really? I mean, when I was 10, they said, when you were 10, you were writing software on audio tapes, trying to sell it in the playground. And now you're doing it online and you haven't changed at all. I went, yeah, I guess you're right, right? So what we do is when we're 10 is a great predictor of what we'll do when we're 40 or
Yeah,
50.
maybe,
Right?
maybe.
In my case, anyway.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was always selling things, so
Right. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what.
exactly. So that gives me a lot of joy. I think that's number one. Number two is seeing, seeing your family do well, your kids do well. My son's got a new girlfriend and he's got an apartment. That brings me a lot of joy. I do love visiting new places, seeing new things. Going to Dubai, going to Marrakesh. So I do enjoy the travel, and it was kind of cool watching James Bond on TV. And I'm like, I've been there, I've been there, I've been that restaurant, I've had that drink. So you're like, wow, I really maybe I'm a spy. So I think I enjoy the variety of life. I really enjoy just things coming to you and you adapting and finding the good in everything. Like being delayed at the airport 6 hours. Instead of what brings me joy is turning that around and finding joy from that. I think in life you can either find things that will bring you down, or you can turn them on the head and say, listen, this is an experience. I can make it a good experience or a bad
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, yeah, of
Um,
course. Yeah, yeah. True, true.
So,
But
but I
there's
think the most joy is reconnecting with people because in the end, money doesn't bring you happiness. Things don't bring you happiness for me anyway. I'm not a car person. I'm not a boat. I don't care about boats or cars or planes. Some people really get into this stuff. I'm not into that. Whatever. I like good food, like good wine. I like to dance on tables, as you know. Have fun. What brings me joy is music. Actually, I would say music brings me joy. The feeling of freedom of like good techno, good EDM, being out there, and that's quite good. It gets you out of yourself. But material stuff is not a big motivator for me. Uh, Not at all.
that's what's my next question. The next question was, what is money to you?
Money is freedom. So I will say, okay, what is money? Money is it isn't money per se. It's so the advantage of money, I suppose, is it gives you the freedom not to have to work to do things that you don't like doing. It also gives you the freedom to do things the way you want them. So on a personal level, when we were younger, when we the kids were 2 or 3, we didn't have a lot of money. As young kids, my wife wasn't working at that for a period of time in LA, couldn't afford it very well. The stress of not having money is very tough, especially when you've got a family. You can't choose not to have food. You can't choose not to do things. So I would say, having grown up in a poorer family in Wales, not having a lot of money growing up, I went to university free, and then have raising kids, and because of the we had kids young, not having a lot of money even then. I would say the stress. I remember those days. So the stress that is tangible. And then when you have some money, and so when bad things happen, you break your tooth, you have an accident, anything happens, the freedom of not having some bad situation be compounded by the stress of not being able to afford it, that to me is really what money is about. And so when anyone says they want to be rich, well, I think rich is a fool's errand. I think if people could find the freedom to be not be worried about unexpected or unfortunate events, that to me is the freedom that money is. That so I would say that's what it means to me. Having some money and being able to have some resources means when bad things happen, I don't have to worry about them as much. And B, the second thing I find is also the and maybe the best thing about having money when you have it is that you can help someone else. So I remember I was in a supermarket in where I live here, and some lady, I think her card didn't work or something, whatever reason. I just said, let me just pay for the checkout, stuff like that, small things like that, where someone in an unexpected way is having a problem, and you can be extra personal, or giving money to your high school or college, or just helping. Having resources to help people that maybe either remind you of yourself when you were younger, or just people that you feel you can help people. I think that's the best thing. Those are the two best things about money: is the freedom to be able to make choices for your own life and not be worried. And the second thing is, and the responsibility in my mind is the freedom to give back to people who don't have, or maybe we're in the situation that you were in that you wish someone had helped you. So paying it forward, I think that's really important to me.
Yeah,
And I get the most joy from that, more than buying something for myself.
yeah. I think that from my perspective, yeah, from my point
Hmm.
of view, is money is not happiness. It
Hmm.
allows you to do things. Because I remember when I was a kid, maybe like you, we were poor, like 99% of the world,
Hmm.
and I was happy. So I didn't have money. So the thing is, I think when you grow up, that you have other needs, and you want your kids to go to this university, or you want to have
Hmm.
this, or you want to do this holidays, or you want to go to Facil or whatever. So for that, you need the money. But it's but I mean, for myself, I think where I see the value of money is for the health,
Hmm.
to pay a doctor, to go to a doctor when you want, whatever. I
Right.
think this the money, this is the worth for of course for traveling or whatever, but nothing else. I mean, even I think my life would not change that much. Okay, I will go for more holidays, but I think if I would have, I don't know, if I find my bitcoins that I bought 20 years ago, and now I will have 2.3 billions, then I don't think I will buy a yacht, or so
Yeah,
I
some
will.
people. Yeah, I mean, some people get really into this stuff. I don't see the benefit. Or I just see work. To me, it just feels like another job. It's more things like that will own you. I think when you say about growing up, though, it's interesting. When I grew up as a family, we didn't have a lot of money, but as a kid, I think you don't see the stress that might be there. I was happy, sure, but my parents definitely were stressed all the time. My father was often very stressed, I think, about money. So I would say that maybe as a kid is not the best way of thinking about it because you're a little
Yeah.
bit oblivious to it. But certainly when you have kids, you have to be able to provide for them. Then there's a responsibility. Although I will say it was funny. Growing up, my parents couldn't afford a computer, so I actually made a paper computer. I got a piece of paper and I drew the keyboard and I was pretending to write software code. And then
Oh.
eventually some neighbor said, you better get this guy a computer. He looks like he's into it. So we saved up. And there was a TV show I remember watching where they were showing a kid I think it was Young Sheldon, where he's like writing code in the store because they couldn't afford a computer. We did that. I used to go to the local WH Smiths. They're still around, I think, in the UK, and they sold computers, and they would be in the store, and you could play with them. So I'd write code, write on paper, and then I'd come back a week later and like write the next 10 lines. It was crazy. I mean, that's what we did back then. So it was kind of a simpler time.
Yeah.
But that was sort of fun growing up. Computers were kind of a fun way. Wales rains a lot, so being inside it was kind of a natural hobby. I mean, you were in Spain, so the weather was better than us. I mean, we just rains all the time where I grew up.
Yeah. What is the driver of your life?
Oh, I think I said it earlier. To me, it's always been make a difference, do something meaningful, try and make something that's has impact. I would say that's always been a big driver. Not just live to exist, but live to do something. You have finite time and energy, and I've always tried to think, how do you combine, and this maybe is controversial, but how do you combine spirituality with business? So I call it spiritual capitalism, which I know some people don't like the name, but it's the idea of, like, if anyone can make money, but can you use business to be a force for good and do it in a way that you make money, yes, but you also help people along the way, give you opportunities? Can you? I mean, to me, that's an important manifest.
Do you know my friend Vipul Kocha
No, I don't
from
think
India?
so.
So you need to meet him.
Okay.
He's uh, he's the person to talk about that.
Okay, because I truly believe that you can align these two, and that
Yeah,
if you look at
yeah,
and if you look at a lot of where
yeah, yeah,
businesses go wrong,
yeah,
it's because they
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
get, yeah.
yeah. That definitely, yeah, definitely.
But I would say that's the driving force for sure. My,
Okay.
my kids would tell you the same thing, and make a difference. Use the business as a vehicle, but it's a vehicle to do good in as best way as you can.
Okay. What is something you're curious or would like to learn more about?
Oh, oh my goodness, that's an interesting one. Ooh, probably something on the biotechnology side because I did a lot of work in growing up. My background was physics and science and chemistry. A lot of people I know where I live work in the bio. I'd love to more stem cell research, more about some of the biological sciences. Some things there that I'm not. That's just an area I'm not very familiar with, other than what I've read in popular magazines. So yeah, yeah, that's an interesting area for me. I'd be curious to know more about, and some of the things that they're doing around Neuralink and brains and how we think and cognitive science. That's an area that I don't know much about, and I would love to learn more about. I would
Okay,
say,
interesting. What is,
yeah,
what is something you are really good at?
uh, programming and doing things in cooking and doing things. I would say, uh, taking charge of a situation quickly when things need to be done. So I've always been a very much a take action kind of person. So I'm very good at, in a crisis, staying calm and taking control. I would say that's beyond the obvious skills I have. That's one thing I'm pretty good at. Um, when things I was a Boy Scout leader till a few years ago, and so in that, and you're sort of trained to do that, and I was naturally good at that. Like everyone else was like, oh my god, we're gonna do. I'm like, okay, all right, calm down. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. You do this. You do this. You do this. Okay, come now let me know what we're gonna do next. So I think keeping calm in a crisis and being able to direct efforts
So
is
you are a
something I'm
leader.
good at.
You are a
What's that?
leader. You are a
Yeah,
leader.
I try to lead.
Mhm.
Yes. Well,
I
yeah.
thought that you would say networking because I think that maybe networking is too much, but I, because for me, no, when I hear you and in the way also you act, um, you could be a very nice host.
Mm, it's true, but that's not something I'm naturally good at. That's something I've had to work at. Interestingly, I'm actually naturally I was more of I grew up as a kid. I was an introvert. I became more of an extrovert later in life, but I feel like it's something I have to work at. So I'm probably more introverted than you would think. And so, although I'm good at networking now, I've had to develop those skills. It wasn't something I was naturally good at, I would say. Interestingly enough,
Mm. I think that everybody, I mean, I think that we all were introverts till we
right?
were extroverts, and
That may be true.
from my feeling, you are a host. From my feeling.
I do, yeah, I do like having people hosting, people coming around. I've always liked that. That is true.
Mhm.
In adult life anyway. Yeah, I like to have friends around. My wife and I will invite people around. She doesn't. She's more of a true introvert. She doesn't like anyone coming around. So I'll usually host people at the house. We'll have parties and people coming over, and actually that's something I do enjoy a lot. Is the people
Okay.
interaction and yeah, having a good time with people.
So you came from Wales to US and started working and made your company,
Yes.
whatever. So
Hmm.
did you have a mentor?
Not really. I mean, I'll be honest, not really. It was always something I wanted to do. I've always wanted, ever since Richard Branson launched his, Virgin Empire. I always thought there's something. It was something I knew I wanted to do. There was one person. It was interesting. I met one person at a pivotal moment in my life. So I was back at university, is my last year, I was fully thinking about going to science. And I had this feeling, nagging feeling that it wasn't the right career fit for me, personality wise, being in a lab for the rest of my life. And so went to, actually, it's interesting enough, I went to a play that was going on by Goethe and Schiller. It was a play about them. It wasn't by them, it was a play about them. It was called Goethe's Weimar, and it was playing at my college. And so I arrived at the play, but I was late for some reason. I think I was at the pub. So I was late, and I walked into the back of the theater, and because we were arriving late, we are doing it quietly. Another older guy was arriving at the same time as me. Well, we got talking, and this was a gentleman who lived in LA, a British guy who owned a business. His name was Lionel Simons. He's still alive, and he said, "Hey, we were chatting a bit about." His life and my life, and he was saying how he had been a scientist and how he really went into business and entrepreneurship, and I was really inspired by him. So we went out to have ice cream afterwards at Haagen-Dazs, and we spent like 2 or 3 hours. And I would say at that moment in time, that's when I decided I was going to not go into science. I was going to start a company. I was going to go into business consulting, learn about business, and go into technology. And it was all from that one night. And if I had not arrived at the theater 5 minutes late, I wouldn't have met him. We would never have talked, and it probably wouldn't have, maybe wouldn't have happened. So I would say he wasn't a mentor, but he was definitely a pivotal figure when your life takes that change. And I would say that's an interesting thing. So there are times in your life, you're never sure when, where something somewhat random happens and you can either go left or go right. And if you don't take that path, it never is going to happen again. And
Yeah,
you have to be open to that.
yeah. I think that we all may have people like that they
Hmm.
have a pivotal influence on your life. I mean, when yeah, I mean, for myself, I was about mentoring, yeah,
Hmm.
and I was thinking that at some point, because now I am 10 years older than you, just saying.
No,
Yes, yes.
you don't look it.
And I was thinking that at some point I will retire in few years, and I would love to mentor people in the
Hmm.
sense in not only in the business part, because the thing is, for example, from I don't know how it's in yourself, but for myself, I have made so many errors, failures in my life. So in business wise and investment wise and so on.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think I have made for 2 or 3 lives. So I I know maybe how you could avoid them. I don't know, but I think that I can talk to people and tell them, okay, explain the situation, and I think based on my experience, this could be the better move, no? And give also information back on my experience base. And I think that, like, I would love to do that later on, but I see that, for example, with the kids doesn't work. With my
No.
kids work, so they I'm still I have still no idea. So this there's
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would like to do more of that as when I get a little bit older and then maybe the company's a different place. But I think one of the things that's always interesting is you can't teach someone by telling them.
yeah.
You have to teach them by letting them try. So maybe there's a way where you could set up a situation where you could let people, maybe young folks who are trying out in the world, to have like a place where they can try and fail. I mean, I know that a lot of people do these incubators and all these startup things, but they're just trying to make money off of people. But if there's a way where you could build a place where people could try and experiment, and so then they would come to you and you could explain with them, because I think sometimes they need to try and fail themselves some as well, because you can't spare them that failure, because otherwise, are you sparing them from the experience that will shape them? But as a mentor, you can help, but that's a hard balance because you don't
Yeah,
want,
I know, I
yeah,
know.
it's a hard balance that.
So what do you do when you fail?
Um, dr- drink some alcohol. No, well, maybe I do initially. When we fail, um, well, you feel down, and then you try and write everything down that for me that objectively how you're feeling, what went wrong, why you think it may have happened, and then I always try and make sure I don't don't react right away. The biggest well, a big mistake will be when you fail. There's the actual failure, and there's how you feel about the failure, and you need to have time for the feeling part to work its through your system, so then you can objectively look at why something failed without some of the emotion, and then say, well, how do I stop this? If it's important to you, how do you stop this failing again? But you can't do it the day of. You need to time the emotions need to be digested and removed from what was the actual failure versus how you feel about the failure. Once you can stop feeling about the failure and objectively look at the failure, then I feel like I can figure out. Well, we had this. We were like we were going to partner with this company. Um, we spent 6 months with it, and it went nowhere. For example, this is in my industry. That's an example. I'm kind of annoyed. Why do we waste 6 months of our time with this? This is annoying. And then you look, then you say, okay, let me stop. Let's come back in a few weeks together, and then we'll think about how do we choose this company? How do we measure it? Why did we invest 6 months? Maybe we should. How would we look for signs in the future that it wasn't worth the investment? And then you start to look rationally at how you learn from it. But you can't learn from it the day or week or month, maybe the month that it happened, because it's too emotionally raw. So I think that's an important thing. Is never make. They always say never make decisions when you're tired, ill, or angry, or have an emotional response, because you're not going to make clear decisions. You're going to react on emotion. So he's like, yeah, it's like the Spock Kirk in Star Trek, right? When you have the failure, you're like Kirk, Khan, and then you need to let the Kirk part of your brain subside, and then you can apply the Spock and the Captain. If we apply logic, we would. So I think that's the important. That's how I try and do things. Doesn't mean I always succeed, but I would like to say process the emotion, feel the emotion because you have to work it out, and then revisit it a week or two later when you're ready to revisit it and say, how can I, because if you try and if someone tells you rationally like, oh, Adam, we could have fixed it in this way and that way, you're like, I don't care, I'm angry right now, I don't want to know. So you have to let that part work through, and then when you're ready to look at it analytically. But it's like the
I
Spock
think, I
Kirk.
think, yeah, I think yeah, I'm, yeah. Okay, but I think this is. I normally do not react quick in the
Right.
sense that especially now when I'm older, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite easy. And 20 years ago was not the case. 20 years ago, yeah, 20 years ago,
Right.
I was a different person. Not a different person, but yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, I would say. On
But
30
I
years
do try.
ago,
I do try and keep calm. But the reality is, I think it's important to let things process through before you
mhm,
start to try
sure.
and rationalize
If
them.
you, yeah, if you look back, so the road not taken, okay, is an issue for you.
I'm not by nature a regret person. So yes, there are things I could go into it on business and things that I wish we'd done this, done that, done the other. But the reality is, I'm very much of a we didn't make that decision. It's done. We got to move forward. There's no point. It doesn't mean we can't learn from it, but I'm not going to fixate on it. So I would definitely say I'm not someone who's greatly troubled by the road not taken. That doesn't mean I don't look at it analytically later, but I'm not. I know some people who are very much their whole life gets wrapped around the path they didn't take. I'm definitely not that person. I'm a forward-looking person.
But there is something that you like to change.
Nothing major. I mean, I think I would just there are certain business decisions where I feel like we were too risk averse, weren't aggressive enough. We maybe missed some market opportunities. I think it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, I can look back and say we should have done this with hindsight, but nothing major, nothing like in my core, having kids, marrying, none of that, none of the big decisions I regret at all. It's all the small stuff.
I can tell you when Bitcoin was at $5,
Oh
I
well,
was
that's
was
true.
close to buy 10,000 euros on that,
Oh,
and then I said, oh, it's too risky. So I have a customer from the other company that he's now in his 40, 42, 43. He already retired
uh,
with Bitcoins.
well, it is what it
That's life.
is. It's the life. There you go. You gotta let it go.
What do you learn from pain?
Um, pain. Oh wow. Wear gloves when you're using the cooker. That's what I learned. I try to avoid pain, but don't do it again. I guess it's what nature's teaching us.
Yeah, but it's not always easy, right?
That is true. Yeah, no, I mean, but pain teaches you something. So I think in the end, you have to, if you avoid pain, sometimes you avoid learning, you avoid life. So I mean, depends what kind of pain we're talking about. Well, I actually have to go in a minute. I just realized. So we may need to wrap stuff up in a bit, if that's all right.
Okay, that's okay. That's good. So, how much time we have?
Actually, I think it was I only have an hour, so I think I'm actually out of time. I'm about to run to I got another meeting coming up.
Okay, so then let's
Sorry.
go to the. No, that's fine. Thanks so much for your time. That's good. So, my dear, thanks so much for being there. It was a big pleasure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
take care, and I hope to see you soon. Okay,
Absolutely. In Berlin or somewhere else.
whatever. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jose. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.